Far away on a strange planet, Gorr and his daughter Love were the only ones left, wandering through a vast empty desert with nowhere to go. Hunger haunted them, pushing them dangerously close to death's doorstep. Gorr prayed to his god Rapu for help, but there was only silence. Love couldn't endure the harsh conditions, and eventually succumbed, dying in her father's embrace. After burying his daughter, Gorr heard a mysterious voice calling out to him. Intrigued, he followed the voice and stumbled upon an oasis with fresh water, but not without accidentally cutting his hand on a sword. Spotting a bunch of fruit, Gorr started eating eagerly, only to be scolded by Rapu, who appeared casually. Gorr explained the devastation of the land, clinging to his unyielding belief and expecting the promised eternal reward. However, Rapu mocked him, revealing that there was never a reward for the underdogs. Celebrating the demise of the latest wielder of the Necro-Sword, Rapu dismissed the deaths of his followers, asserting that their suffering was their purpose. Angry and disillusioned, Gorr renounced his god, triggering Rapu to strangle him. Suddenly the Necro-Sword rose into Gorr's hand, unveiling the path to great power and insisting that he must eliminate all the gods. Yielding to the curse, Gorr killed Rapu, vowing to eradicate the remaining gods. On the planet Indigar, Korg shared the story of Thor, the god of thunder, with a group of aliens. Thor, raised as a warrior from a young age, became a legendary hero, saving the world countless times and enjoying numerous love affairs. His true love, Jane from Earth, ended their relationship years ago. Thor lost his entire family, his mighty hammer Mjolnir, and his homeland Asgard. Battling depression, he lost his godly physique. However, after acquiring a new weapon called Stormbreaker, Thor joined the Guardians of the Galaxy, embarking on whimsical adventures across the universe with his newfound companions. Despite putting in a lot of effort to get fit deep down, he still felt a ton of pain within his good-looking body. Now, he's given up on finding love and only shows up when there's a battle. Nearby, the Guardians are in a tough fight against bird-like invaders and are struggling. Finally, Thor arrives, and the local king informs him that things were peaceful until their gods were killed. With his powerful Stormbreaker in hand, Thor jumps into the battle, easily defeating enemies by hitting them or shooting lightning. When two enemies attack at once, Thor stops them by spreading his legs before jumping to make them crash. After kicking a big vehicle, Thor breaks into the temple, going up the tower to hit the enemy leader, ending the invasion but destroying the temple. On Earth, Jane is at the hospital, dealing with stage 4 cancer, a secret she only shared with two close friends. As a scientist, she researched on her own, but she and her professor friend couldn't find anything helpful, and her chances aren't good. Desperate, Jane looks into Asgardian magic and discovers that Mjolnir might be of help. Meanwhile, the people of Asgard have a new home on Earth with Valkyrie as their queen. Although she hates the politics and boring meetings, she's supposed to be a warrior. Tourists can visit New Asgard, including the remaining pieces of Thor's hammer Mjolnir. When Jane sees it, the sky darkens, and the pieces start to glow. Back to Thor, the king rewards him with 2 huge screaming goats, causing chaos inside their spaceship. The team checks for distress signals and is shocked to find many begging for help. Gorr, known as the God Butcher, has been killing gods on thousands of planets. Lady Sif, an Asgardian warrior, sends a distress call. Thor decides to leave the Guardians to help her. After they leave, Thor uses Stormbreaker to teleport with Gorr and the goats to Sif's location. They find an icy land with the skeleton of a huge creature. Nearby, Sif is wounded and missing an arm, revealing she fell for Gorr's trap. Gorr aims to kill every god, and his next target is New Asgard. On Earth, Gorr arrives, using the Necro-Sword to control shadows and summon monsters. Chaos ensues, and Valkyrie fights off monsters with her sword on her Pegasus. In no time, Thor arrives. While Korg guides Sif to safety, Thor jumps into the fight. He and Valkyrie are beating monsters when a speedy lightning ball zooms onto the battlefield. Hitting monsters fast, Thor sees its Mjolnir and calls for it, but the hammer ignores Thor and goes to its new owner. This woman, in Thor's clothes, handles Mjolnir well, making it break into pieces to hit many monsters before coming back together. When the woman takes off her helmet, Thor is surprised to see it's Jane. A flashback tells about their past relationship, filled with happy moments. One night, Thor asked Mjolnir to protect Jane, and the hammer glowed in agreement. Over time, they grew apart because of Thor's busy missions and Jane's work as a scientist. Eventually, Jane broke up with Thor through a note. In the present, Thor wants to talk, but Jane focuses on fighting monsters. Gorr appears, fighting Thor with the Necrosword. After a few hits, Gorr pins Thor against a car. When Thor tries to defend, Gorr hits him and makes a monster hold him down. Gorr tries to take Stormbreaker, but Thor uses his lightning powers, freeing himself before pushing Gorr away. Thor throws lightning as Jane and Valkyrie join. Seeing the disadvantage, Gorr decides to disappear, but shadows stay, releasing monsters in children's rooms to kidnap them. Asgardian kids are caged by monsters, and when Thor and Jane try to follow, Gorr teleports the cage away. Later, Valkyrie holds a meeting with all Asgardians to decide the next steps. Thor can't stop looking at Mjolnir and tries to call it, but Stormbreaker comes instead. An argument starts among the people, so Thor steps forward, asking them to calm down while he tries something. When he raises Stormbreaker, his powers fail, creating a hole in the ceiling and destroying a monument outside. Returning to the room, a new argument starts, interrupted by a floating head. Axel, a kidnapped kid with magic eyes. Axel's power allows him to bring an illusion of Thor into the cage, helping them discover they're in the Shadow Realm, where Gorr is most powerful. Before going there, they need reinforcements and decide to travel to Omnipotence City, where all of Earth's gods gather. Since Stormbreaker isn't working well, they'll use a ship pulled by goats through the axe's power. While Valkyrie gets a ship, Jane, in the bathroom, reveals her true, sickly form when she lets go of her transformation. Jane recalls her mother's death, angering her, leading her to use Mjolnir to destroy the sink. Meanwhile, Axel tries to calm the other kids with Thor stories. Gorr interrupts, scaring them by killing a small monster. When Axel says Thor will save them, Gorr reveals that's exactly what he wants. Later, the team reaches Omnipotence City wearing disguises. Many amazing gods are around, but Zeus, making a grand entrance, disappoints Thor. Zeus cares more about parties than important matters, leading to an argument within the team. Zeus calls Thor to the stage, dismissing his plea for help against Gorr. Zeus chains Thor down before disrobing him. Finally noticing who he is, Zeus reminds him that each god must watch over their own people, so he has no interest in helping Thor rescue a bunch of Asgardians or lending him his thunderbolt. Zeus tells the crowd not to worry because Gorr will never reach eternity, a powerful being in the center of the universe, able to grant a wish. Gorr may want to use his wish to get rid of all the gods at once. Omnipotence City is a secret, but now that Thor has come, Gorr may use him to reach them, so Zeus orders his guards to keep Thor here. The rest of the group fights the guards, and Thor breaks the chains to use them as weapons. They fight fantastically as a team, and soon the guards are defeated. Zeus strikes Korg with his thunderbolt, causing him to become rubble. Next, Zeus tries to strike Thor, but he catches the thunderbolt and throws it back, piercing through Zeus's chest. Afterward, Thor checks on Korg and discovers he's still alive on just his face. More guards are coming, so Valkyrie ties Korg's face to her hair to keep him safe while he whistles to summon the goats, who bring the ship through the window. Valkyrie steals Zeus' thunderbolt, and the team finally escapes. On their way to the Shadow Realm, Thor shows Jane the space dolphins flying near the ship. In a romantic moment, Thor admits he still loves her and wants to get back together. Jane tells him about her cancer, but Thor supports her, promising to face everything together, and they share a kiss. As they finally arrived in the Shadow Realm, everything turned black and white, including themselves. Stormbreaker's rainbow bridge disappeared, so the ship landed on the desolate planet with a thump. The nearby cage was empty, leading them to enter a building where Jane found papers with Gorr's plans. It turned out he wanted to bring Thor there to steal Stormbreaker and use its power to open a bridge into eternity. Jane rushed to tell the others it was a trap, and threw Stormbreaker into space to keep it safe. In that moment, Gorr appeared, and Jane threw Mjolnir at him. However, Gorr dodged it and used the shadows to capture the heroes. He asked Thor to call Stormbreaker, and when he refused, he made the shadows hurt Jane and Valkyrie. Desperate to help them, Thor summoned Stormbreaker, shaking the entire planet and freeing them from the shadows. Gorr then used the Necrosword to bring out a bunch of shadow monsters, starting another battle. While Jane and Valkyrie fought the beasts, Thor's Stormbreaker clashed with Gorr's Necrosword, and the goats had to take Korg's face away from the violence. After exchanging a few hits with Gorr, Thor got distracted by a beast. Valkyrie fought him with the thunderbolt, managing to hit him a few times, but it didn't do enough, and Gorr stabbed her with her own weapon. When Thor tried to run to her, the shadows attempted to hold him down, but he quickly freed himself and shot some lightning at Gorr. Gorr shielded himself with the necrosword. Jane reached Valkyrie to rescue her and brought her to Thor, who used Stormbreaker to open the bridge. However, Gorr and his shadows used that moment to grab onto the axe and steal it from Thor while they were teleported away. The team landed on Earth, and Jane dropped Mjolnir, revealing her body was incredibly weak. Thor took his friends to the hospital, and the doctor shared bad news. Using Mjolnir had been harming Jane faster. She wanted to keep on fighting, but Thor confessed he wanted more time with her, and convinced her to stay. On his way out, Valkyrie gave him the Thunderbolt, which Thor used to reach Eternity. Meanwhile, Gorr finally reached Eternity and brought the kids with him. He put Stormbreaker down to start the process of opening the door, causing the whole place to shake. A piece of a huge statue almost crushed the children, but Thor arrived just in time to catch it and throw it away. Seeing Thor, Gorr used the Necro Sword to start summoning monsters. Thor gathered the children, telling them to grab any object they could find as a weapon. Using the Thunderbolt, he shared his power with all the kids so they could help him fight. A fierce battle began as the kids clashed against the monsters, fighting with all their might to prove they were worthy Asgardians. As monsters fell all over the place and the children kept them busy, Thor went after Gorr, keeping up with him until Gorr took the Thunderbolt to throw it away. Thor had to continue fighting hand to hand, and Mjolnir sensed this on Earth appearing in front of Jane. Gorr gains the upper hand over Thor and nearly stabs him, forcing Thor to stop Necrosword with his hands. Jane arrives on Valkyrie's Pegasus and throws Mjolnir at Gorr to rescue Thor. Thor seizes the opportunity to retrieve the Thunderbolt, and now both he and Jane can confront Gorr together. Jane notices the door is about to open, so she sends Thor to fetch Stormbreaker, while she battles Gorr and the kids keep fighting the monsters. The shadows tightly hold on to Stormbreaker, prompting Thor to use the Thunderbolt to hit them. Initially, Gorr seems to overpower Jane, but she leaps to attack with Mjolnir, creating cracks in the Necrosword. Finally, Thor frees Stormbreaker and throws it at Axel, enabling all the kids to return home. Thor then uses the Thunderbolt as two daggers, trapping the Necrosword between them. Jane throws Mjolnir at it, ultimately breaking the sword. Gorr tries to rebuild it, but Jane catches the other pieces with Mjolnir and summons lightning that turns every sword piece into ash. While Jane falls to her knees, Gorr sees the gate to eternity has opened and crosses it, teleporting all three of them. Before Gorr can make his wish, Thor, looking at a dying Jane, tells Gorr he isn't seeking revenge or death but love. Thor goes to Jane's side to spend her last moments together. Gorr, reminded of his own daughter, doesn't wish for her because he's dying from the corruption of the Necrosword. Thor and Jane promise love won't be alone, so Gorr makes his wish, and love comes back, bidding farewell to her father before he dies. Jane also says goodbye, sharing a kiss with Thor before her body disappears into glowing dust. Later on, Jane becomes a legend in New Asgard, and a statue is made in her honor. Valkyrie resumes her role as queen, and Sif helps train children in self-defense. Korg regains his body and finds a boyfriend from his species. Thor raises Gorr's daughter as his own, sharing simple family moments like breakfast, and teaches her how to control her eternity powers. They embark on adventures together, using Mjolnir and Stormbreaker to fight and help people in need, becoming known as Love and Thunder. Meanwhile, Jane's spirit arrives at Valhalla, the Asgardian heaven, and she's invited to join the Hall of the Gods.